Hello, everybody. We close out this wonderful series tonight. Faithful witnesses say yes to Jesus Christ. This is the topic for this entire month. Faithful witnesses say yes to Jesus Christ. We started with authority and compassion. The believing centurion. It's a person in charge with empathy. That was followed by from a rock to a hard place. We all can relate to that one. That was Simon Peter. Last week it was climbing a tree. What will I see? Zacchaeus, the publican. Tonight we're looking at living with what you didn't ask for. You know, the Sunday school subjects always have a subject that applies scripture to life. Living with what you didn't ask for. You hear that old phrase, I didn't sign up for this, or left holding the bag. That's what this is, seems like. And the application of the example is Mary, mother of Jesus. It was important to distinguish what Mary. We have so many Marys in the Bible. This is Mary, mother of Jesus. This lesson is in Luke, chapter 2, 15 through 19. John, chapter 2, 1 through 5. John 19, 25 through 27. Luke, chapter 2, 15 through 19. John, chapter 2, 1 through 5. John, chapter 19, 25 through 27. This is July 26, 2028 lesson. Look at the unifying principle. That's always the highlights of the lesson, key points. It says we are faced with many choices throughout our lives, but it is impossible to commit to everything. Choices and decisions, that's what life is all about. And commitment simply means binding yourself to a specific cause or a course of action or even a person. That's what commitment is. We see Mary's commitment to Jesus at significant moments throughout his life. From the announcement of his birth to his first miracle and to his crucifixion. The first subtopic, with a heart of surrender. A heart of surrender. In a Christian and spiritual context, this is the essence of true worship and faith. Simply means to release all things, all plans, desires, and will to God. That's a heart of surrender. So we see the excited shepherds seeking evidence. They immediately decided to visit. Verse 15 says, and it came to pass, as the angels were gone away from them into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, let us now go even unto Bethlehem, and see this thing which is come to pass, which the Lord hath made known unto others. When God speaks, it often ignites a desire in us to respond. The shepherds exemplify this reaction. Following the angelic visitation, they feel compelled to act on the news they have just received. Their decision to go to Bethlehem is significant, not just in terms of the journey, but also in the willingness to embrace the unknown. They didn't know what they were going to run into. They were likely familiar with the terrain around Bethlehem. Yet they were stepping out of their comfort zones, embarking into a journey that could have been challenging under the cover of night. Their commitment to finding the infant Jesus shows the courage to follow God's will, even when we are unsure of what awaits us. They rushed to see in verse 16, and they came with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the baby lying in a manger. Now we know what a manger is. It's a feeding trough. It's a food box for farm animals. And that's where Jesus was. This verse also paints a picture of humility. The shepherds found Mary and Joseph in an unassuming place, not in a palace or a grand hotel, not in the Hyatt, the Holiday Inn, but in a simple manger. This signals for us the nature of Jesus' mission on earth. He came not for the affluent or the powerful, but to meet us where we are in our life circumstances. You might be in the throes of looking for a job and you might have a good one. You might be a CEO, but he's coming to meet you where you are in your life circumstances. The shepherds, typically seen as lowly in society, were highly favored by God to be the first to hear about this miraculous birth. Therefore, this verse encourages us that no matter our status or past, we are invited to come to Jesus. They excitedly shared the message. Verse 17 says, and when they had seen it, they made known abroad the saying which was told them concerning this child. This act of spreading the word signifies that joy and hope are meant to be shared. When we experience something amazing, such as the love and grace of God, it is natural for us to want to tell others. The shepherds did not keep this transformational experience to themselves. They became messengers of God's truth. This verse reminds us that sharing our faith is an integral part of our relationship with God and with others. It's simply called a testimony. All believers have them. If you're a believer, you have a testimony. They caused a stir in verse 18. And all they that heard it wondered at those things which were told them by the shepherds. All they that heard it. This highlights the inclusivity of the message. The good news of Jesus Christ is meant for everyone, regardless of their background or standing. In hearing the message of hope, it opens the door for all to contemplate the birth of the Savior. The phrase wondered at those things illustrates how this miraculous nature of Jesus' birth inspired a sense of wonder and curiosity. It also invites us to reflect on our own understanding of the gospel. Are we still filled with that same sense of amazement at the story of Jesus? Or have we become desensitized in the miraculous? Has it become boring? Has it become ho-hum? So we see the awe-stricken, pondering mother. Look at verse 19. But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. Mary cherished the moment, witnessed with the angels announcing the birth of her son, the visit from the shepherds, and the miraculous event of his birth itself. These moments were not merely fleeting experiences. Rather, they were profound and transformative. The use of the word treasured indicates that these moments held great value to her. They were part of her journey as a mother, a participant in the divine narrative. The mother and the virgin birth. That's what this narrative is all about. So we see with a voice of intercession, this second subtopic. Intercession simply means the act of pleading on behalf of another person. So the setting a wedding in Cana of Galilee. Verse 1 in John chapter 2. And the third day, there was a marriage in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. When we consider how important family is in the Bible and how weddings symbolize covenant relationships, it gives this occasion even greater meaning. Jesus and his mother attending this wedding indicates that Jesus valued these connections and the traditions of his culture. Our own families and communities hold importance in our faith journey, as they serve as important support systems and venues of love and teaching. That's why we have church worship, Sunday school, Bible class, all a part of our faith journey along the way. So we see Jesus and the disciples attended in verse 2. And both Jesus was called and his disciples to the marriage. Now this verse also reveals the importance of invitations. When we invite Jesus into our lives, whether that's at celebrations, difficult times, or everyday moments, we include him in our journey. This invitation opens the door to transformation, blessings, and miracles. If we desire to experience the fullness of life, it is essential to invite Jesus into our hearts and lives. In every encounter, he offers insight, comfort, and guidance. Invite Jesus in everything you do or everywhere you go. So we see the concern of Jesus' creative power, Mary's social concern in verse 3. And when they wanted wine, the mother of Jesus saith unto him, they have no wine. Now this contains deep significance, encapsulating themes of faith, maternal instinct, and the nature of Jesus' mission. Mary realizes that the wedding hosts are facing a social embarrassment and takes it upon herself to inform Jesus. This act is notable, as it shows that she has a close relationship with him. It suggests that Mary has witnessed something extraordinary about her son beyond the ordinary life they had shared together. This verse conveys the importance of recognizing our needs and bringing them to Jesus. When we face our own challenges or seem to be running low on joy, we can turn to him for help. Just as Mary did, we can trust that Jesus listens and cares about our struggles, no matter how small they may seem. So we see Jesus' deeper concern to meet man's spiritual needs through his hour, his death. Verse 4, Jesus said unto her, Woman, what have I to do with thee? Mine hour is not yet come. Mary seems to demonstrate an unshakable faith in Jesus' abilities despite his outward reply. This serves as a great lesson for all of us. It reminds us that we ought to trust in God's power and in his timing, even when circumstances appear unpromising. When it doesn't look good, we continue to trust God. Her willingness to present the need to Jesus reflects a deep understanding of her son's capabilities. This resonates with us, as we can bring our concern before God, whether big or small, trusting that he listens and he cares. Mary's faith stands as a model for how we should approach our prayers and concerns, asking in faith and leaving the outcome in God's hands. That's what we do. We kneel down and pray, and we get up and leave it to God. Mary's confidence in her son in verse 5. Look at this. His mother said unto the servants, Whatsoever he saith unto you, do it. So this verse encourages us to listen for God's instruction in our lives. Mary's guidance to the servants serves as a reminder of our need to seek direction from God and obey his word. Jesus' mother did not provide detailed instructions on how to solve the problem. Instead, she pointed them to her son, trusting that he would know what to do. It is essential to recognize that when we are faced with difficulties, our problems often require us to proceed in faith. When we do what the Lord tells us, we cannot go wrong. The third subtopic is with a posture of steadfastness, an attitude of steadfastness, being firm, unwavering, resolute. We see Jesus' great love for his mother. There were women at the cross, verse 25. Now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother and his mother's sister, Mary the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. As we reflect on this verse, we encounter a profound scene that encompasses love, sorrow, and the harsh reality of loss. Standing by the cross, Mary, alongside other significant women, bears witness to the ultimate sacrifice made by Jesus. The image of Mary, a mother watching her son suffer, pulls at our heartstrings. We can all relate to that. We all have felt the sorrow of a loved one. If not, we will. In life, many of us even can relate to strong emotions surrounding our loved ones, especially in dire circumstances. This is a universal theme that resonates through generations, transisting and transcending cultural and historical boundaries. Jesus saw his mother in verse 26. It says, when Jesus therefore saw his mother and the disciples standing by, whom he loved, he saith unto his mother, woman, behold thy son. That this emphasizes the depth of Jesus' humanity. As he suffers and faces the end of his earthly life, he is still aware of the needs of others, particularly his mother. It shows us that Jesus is not just a divine figure, but also a loving son who cares deeply for his family. In many ways, this brief interaction between Jesus, his mother, and John encapsulate the heart of the gospel message, which revolves around love and sacrifice and care for one another. Jesus often says, love one another as I have loved you. Then we see Jesus demonstrated responsibility, discharged his duty to look after his mother to John. Verse 27, then saith he to the disciple, behold thy mother. And from that hour, that disciple took her unto his own home. This brief yet profound verse demonstrates the compassion and love that characterized Jesus during his earthly ministry. Jesus understood the importance of relationships and community. And through this statement, he entrusted Mary to John. We find that Jesus' concern for his family extends beyond blood relations. He teaches us that love transcends biological ties and can form new families among believers. The church is called to be a family, caring for one another, just as Jesus cared for his own mother. That's what the church is for. So we see this principle. In conclusion now, this verse is packed with meaning. It's packed with value and rich symbolism. Jesus' focus on ensuring the well-being of his mother during his most intense moment signals the heart of his mission: love, As we reflect on his words, we are encouraged to take responsibility for one another, demonstrating Christ's love in our actions. Jesus shows us that amid trials, our primary goal is to care for those we love and build relationships grounded in compassion and understanding. Jesus is teaching us to love one another as I have loved you with. Love thy neighbor as thyself. I want to thank you for being here. See you again next time.